time for Wise Guys Wednesday.
All right, U of I physics professor Paul Kwiat is here now.
Hey,
We're
Paul.
continuing our lesson from last week, right?
We are. Actually going to start with something totally different. Feedback. Positive feedback.
Oh,
Positive feedback.
we're not used to that.
I'm not used to that.
Sounds like it'd be a good thing, right?
What's
it,
that?
It can be a bad thing, though,
Oh.
actually, usually, in science.
Why?
So negative feedback is actually a good thing in science. So if you're driving and you veer to the left a little, you want to correct by steering to the right.
To the other way.
Or if you have your thermostat in your house and your temperature is a little higher than its set point, then you want to cool the house. And if it's a little colder than the set point, you want to heat the house. So you want to have the effect going in the opposite direction, and then it'll stabilize it in the same way that with this this can here. Right now, gravity is pulling it back to be vertical. But if I go too far, then gravity actually tips it.
Okay.
Overcomes the tipping point, and that's positive feedback.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So last time we were talking about the greenhouse effect.
Okay.
And we said the
course.
thing that happens is that the sunlight comes in and heats up the earth. We could just show the first graphic, I suppose.
Oh, yes, we could.
We could indeed. No, that's the last
Oh,
graphic.
man.
Oh,
Oh,
skipping
man.
ahead.
Last graphic.
Hide your eyes.
Gotta go all
Oh,
the way.
man.
We're going to spoil it.
Oh, jeez. Well, we'll hopefully
we're
pull that
working
up.
on it.
Working on that.
We've got our best
Okay,
people
so
on
what
the
happens
case.
is that as the sunlight comes in, it heats the earth, and then the earth radiates in the infrared, and then some of that infrared is reflected back onto the earth.
Yes.
Okay.
So that effect is not as bad as it could be because of the albedo of the planet.
Ah.
The albedo is not how much the earth likes the other planets.
Right.
Instead, it is how much the earth reflects some of the light. So the more that it reflects the light, then the less of the sunlight that's absorbed by the earth, and the better off we are.
Okay.
Okay, so the thing that affects whether the earth is reflecting or not is whether or not the sunlight is hitting water or whether it's hitting snow or ice. So we're going to do a little demonstration. I have
like
here,
demos.
this is a little power meter. We'll zoom in on it in just a second. And
Okay.
I have here, this is one copy of the
The
earth.
world in your hand,
And
really.
another copy of the earth here. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a water-covered earth.
Okay.
And I don't know how much of this I need to pour in. I guess one.
Hope we can
probably
swim.
enough. Great. And then I finally get to empty out my freezer. I've had snow in my freezer for the last
Oh, my gosh.
month
this
and
really
a
from your
half.
freezer?
Never know when you might need it.
This is from
is
outside
really-
in my backyard. It's been
Okay.
in my freezer the whole time. Okay. Okay, so now
Got
this
it.
is the sun.
Okay.
And we can look at how much light is coming from the sun on our power meter, something like that, maybe something like half a watt, basically.
Okay.
And I'm going to look at how much is reflected from the earth when it's covered with water, and we see it's quite a bit less.
Yes,
It's less than
0.30.
10,
Yeah.
more than a factor of 10 less. And now I'm going to see how much is reflected. Now I got to move this.
Oh,
Wow.
well,
Sorry about that.
that's all right.
Now we look instead what's reflected from the snow, and we see that in fact it's a lot more. So there's almost 10 times as much light reflected from the snow as reflected from the water.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay,
So what does that mean?
So what that means, if we tie this back into our feedback system, our feedback thing, is that as the Earth gets a little bit warmer, more ice melts. As more ice melts, less of the sun's light is reflected. So
Okay.
that means more of the sun's energy is absorbed, so that means the Earth heats more. So that means that more ice melts, which means that more of the sun's light is absorbed, which means that the ice melts more, right? So there's this positive feedback that is, and you can get into a runaway system where all the ice melts because of that.
Gotcha.
So positive feedback, it's a bad thing. And this is unfortunately not just a tabletop demonstration or a theoretical thing, but if we now go to one of the plots, the
man.
second to the last one, I guess we'll
Oh,
see.
geez.
Yeah, that one,
There you
exactly
go.
right. So this is a plot on the top of the Arctic sea ice in 1984, I think it was. No, in I can't quite read the plot there. Yes, in 1984, and then in 2012, and you see that it's a lot less in 2012.
Yeah.
And so that's bad. That's the ice melting. And in fact, the last plot, the little spirally one, this is a plot of the volume of the sea ice.
Let's hope we got our team.
There we go. It's by month, but you could just pick any color you want. Just take the black on the inner one. That's the sea ice in September, the volume of the sea ice from the last 30 years. And you see that it's spiraling in. In fact, at the very bottom, it says Arctic death spiral, because this is a measure of how much the ice is decreasing as a function of time over the last 30 years.
Sounds so sad.
Okay.
It's sad.
Yeah.
And we will continue this story next week.
That sounds perfect.
Okay.
More of the sad
The sad
sadness.
saga.
More of the
Sad
sad
news.
saga. The bad news of
Bad
positive
news.
feedback.
All right. Well,
Okay.
this was fun, Paul. Thanks
All
for
right.
bringing your snow in. We always
Sorry.
appreciate the demos.
We can have a snowball fight.
Hey, man, if you want to,
Hopefully we won't see any more of this stuff until next
prepare
week.
yourself. All right, we're going to throw a snowball, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. But still to come, people are actually trying to stop the violence in Champaign County.
That's right. We're going to tell you how they're doing it as we keep an eye on CI.